Today, we're talking about players that have the most amount of pressure and expectations going into this upcoming season. And so, before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Monis Mazelis slam dunks in games. And so, in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so, make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about players that have the most amount of pressure and expectations coming into this season. And so, I've got three players on my list, and this is not in any particular order. And so, the first player that I want to start with is going to be Coby White. I think that he is definitely a player that has a ton of expectations and pressure coming into this season because number one, Coby White is going to be a free agent at the end of this season. And so the better off that he plays, the bigger his bag is going to be. And so there is definitely going to be some pressure here on Coby White to go out there and perform and show that, look, he definitely should get a big payday. And so that is point number one. Point number two, as far as his performance stepping up this season, he can also show that, look, he can help a team take that next step. And so I think that there is going to be really a lot of pressure and expectation around Coby White to take a step forward this season. Can he be a player that gets you another, 5 to 8 points a game? Can he be a player that gets into all-star consideration? Can he be a guy that now gets you a steal or more a game? So there's a lot of questions with things that he could step up into this season. But I definitely think that the bottom line here is that can Coby White take this role that is the same, step up with that, and really help the Bulls in their bottom line, which is win some games? Because I definitely think that that also will help him as far as getting to the bag here at the end of the season. And then next, with Coby White, I just think for him, and just really showing that possibly he can be a little bit more than a scorer is going to be huge. And then I think on top of that, just the storyline for him, just everything that he's going to face this season, because I think that out of all the expiring contracts on the Bulls this season, he's probably going to be the one that is talked about the most, because I think that the Chicago Bulls can probably get the most back with Coby White. And they really have to make a decision because, if they do want him and he continues to play well, they have to be prepared to go ahead and pay him. And then if you don't think that he is going to be a part of your future, then the Bulls are going to have to make a decision. And so there is a lot of pressure and expectation here around Coby White and the season that he could possibly have. And so the next player that I definitely think really has, I think, a lot of pressure and expectation coming into this one, it's going to be Ayo Dosunmu. I think that there is definitely pressure for him. And, the first point with him is just like Coby White, these guys, or he's going to be, a free agent at the end of the season, just like Coby White. And he's going to be looking for that payday. And so that means that his performance is also going to need to, show up to as well. And I think that there is just pressure with that, especially when you're trying to secure that next contract. And so, that's point number one with him. But point number two, I think with Ayo Dosunmu, it's really about proving that he also belongs with this young core, just like Coby White. I think that you're very much still evaluating this talent because it's just not really where you want it to be just yet. I mean, we're going to be happy if we see this team qualify for the playoffs. Do I think that this is a team that's ready to compete and get out of the Eastern Conference? No, but this is where tough decisions are going to have to be made. And this is the evaluation process because, look, if you don't see Ayo Dosunmu as part of your future, you're going to have to make a tough decision and trade him. And so I think that there's going to be a ton of trade noise around him. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same amount of trade noise that it is going to be around Coby White. Let's see how his season goes. And so can he show that he can be a part of this young core for the long term? And also, too, if he deserves to get the bag here with the Chicago Bulls. And then I think another thing for Ayo Dosunmu to think about here is just as far as pressure and expectations. He's coming into this season, and you got to think about it like this. I don't think he got a chance to play with Trey Jones, and Trey Jones was pretty fantastic for this team last season. And so, he's going to have a role with this team. And then also, too, with the addition of Isaac Okoro, he also kind of brings over that defensive punch here. And so, can both of these guys really work together and give this team a defensive identity? I think that would be key, too, for just going ahead and keeping Ayo Dosunmu as well. And so, just to be clear, I'm in the camp of keeping both Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White, but as far as expectations and pressure goes, that is some of the things to think about around both of those players. And so the last player that I definitely think has some big expectations and pressure this season is going to be Josh Giddey. And so, with Josh Giddey, I think the biggest thing for him, and just really, it's going to be the expectations, because I think a lot of people saw what he did down the stretch, and then now they're going to continue to talk about, okay, can you see that for a full season? And so I think that you are going to see that. In fact, I love the confidence that he showed at the end of the season with his presser and saying that he was the player that was more like what we saw at the end. And so I think that, look, when Josh Giddey puts it out there, he's a guy that is going to own it. And so let's see if he can step up there, because there is going to be a lot of talk around what he's going to do for the full season. And just really, at this point in time, Billy Donovan, he's going to give him the keys to the offense out there. We know that this offense wants to get up and down the court. And so, can he continue to be efficient as a scorer and find ways to get better there like he did a season ago? Can he continue to set the table and make everybody else successful here? And just really, can he be one of those main pieces that really helps this team elevate and get out of this play-in situation and hopefully start to trend towards getting to the playoffs and things like that and going from there? And so, yes, we know that with all three of these players, there's still a lot of things that need to be built around them. But again, you're talking about evaluation around all of these players. And so you're still constantly doing that with the entire roster. And so I think that still continues with Josh Giddey, because you're going to try to figure out, okay, how can you make this thing work? And so that's why also, too, just circling back to Coby White, it's going to be pressure on him to see if he can also continue to build with Josh Giddey in that backcourt, because we saw a great sample size at the end. And so can both of those players continue on? We'll find that out. And then just, again, the pressure for Josh Giddey to just lead this team. And so, the players, or not the players, I should say, the folks that I don't think are going to have pressure this season, for me, it's going to be the front office and also to the coaching staff. I don't think that there's any pressure necessarily on Billy Donovan, nor do I think that there's going to be pressure here on the front office with AK and Mark Eversley. I say that because I do think that, look, you've heard about the extensions, and they clearly have invested, into, our coach, and then also too with the front office here, because, hey, they believe that they can get the job done. And so I think for them as competitors, we'll find out just do they have the internal pressure to get better. And so let's see what AK and this front office continue to do to keep shaping this roster out. And then also too, I've talked about this before with Billy Donovan, is just continuing to make the proper adjustments needed to get this team where it needs to go to, because I do think that is going to be everything for this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And so we'll see just how well he's able to do this season. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here, who do you think has the most pressure and expectations coming into this season? Once again, I say it's Coby White, Ayo Dosunmu, and Josh Giddey, not in any particular order. And then also, too, I said again, I don't think that there is any pressure here around Billy Donovan and AK and Mark Eversley. And so let's see what happens with this team. And again, I just want to just continue to say it. I think that it's going to be a big time evaluation for this team as they push forward, because like I said, with Ayo Dosunmu, and then also too with Coby White, you're trying to see if they still fit the plan that you have for your young core. And then with Josh Giddey, who is clearly a part of your young core, you still need to figure out how you are going to go ahead and build. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.